Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to take you through a short profile of CRM Dynamics, our company. Then I'm going to go take you through the Microsoft stack for manufacturers. So this is a bit of an unusual presentation. I'm not an expert in absolutely all the areas I'll be talking about, but I know enough to be able to explain how it all ties in together for the team. So I'm going to talk about Dynamics, the 365 Dynamics stack. I'm going to talk about everything in the kitchen sink that applies to manufacturers. And then I'm going to talk about the vision for manufacturers using AI and Azure, talk about use cases and show you how that can be applied to your factory and to your supply chain. And then to Iceland's point, we're going to be going through questions afterwards. Now, I'm going to be using a bit of an unusual format for this. As you'll see in a couple of minutes, there's a PDF file that's generated every year that shows the overall Microsoft footprint or ecosystem. And iSoon is going to send that via email to all the attendees after this presentation. And for the first half, I'll be using that as a guide to take you through the different components of Dynamics 365. So just a quick overview. So for myself, I'm a senior account exec at CRM Dynamics. I'm also a solution architect. I've been working for many years in manufacturing. One of my first jobs out of school was in manufacturing and engineering. I've run a manufacturing operation way back in the 90s that was pretty close to what I would think is a connected factory. We had all our machining centers connected to a central point, downloading programs, monitoring cut speed, etc. So I know manufacturing well, been working in manufacturing for many years, and I also spent about 15 years implementing systems in manufacturing companies. So, quick overview of CRM Dynamics. So we are, of course, a gold certified partner with Microsoft, and we're located in Mississauga, Canada. Those for you who are in the US, that's about an hour and a half drive from Niagara Falls. We've been working for a lot of years. We've done probably about 700 projects for over 250 clients over the years, so lots of experience. We also have won again this year the Microsoft Business Impact Award for business apps for Canada. We're also a part of the inner circle, so we're top 1% of the partners globally for Microsoft, and we're one of the top partners in Canada, obviously. Business benefits realization. The reason I put that on the slide, we have a large focus on not just turning on a new system and having a shiny new application in front of your users, but focusing really on getting the business benefits out of the system. Because the day you go live, you really don't get any benefits, just a new system. It's working to make sure you implement the processes and the changes that you wanted to get that are really going to give you your benefits. So this is important, whether you're working with CRM Dynamics, whether you're working with another partner, whether you're working with another platform altogether, this always has to be a focus. So always look for a partner that is going to focus on getting you the benefits and who's going to be with you after go live, not just someone who's going to leave the minute the system is turned on. And then if you happen to go to our website, you'll see that we have a variety of blueprints from manufacturing to builders to non-for-profit. Obviously, in the context of today, it's more of manufacturing, but we have a lot of blueprints that enable us to reduce the amount of time it takes to implement D365 solutions. And finally, we have a marketing team that focuses on helping both companies that are B2B and B2C and be able to communicate better. I'm going to stay on this one for about 5 seconds. As you see, there is a column with manufacturing. So we do work with manufacturers amongst the whole variety of clients that we have. But I don't want to spend too much time there. I really want to take you through the Microsoft ecosystem as it applies to manufacturers. So the slide or the PDF I was talking about, here it is. It's impossible to read in a presentation. There's just too much on it. So what I've done is taking these separate sections, and I will drill down in the areas that are relevant to manufacturers and companies with complex supply chains. So let's start with ERP solutions. So for those of you who have SAP, for those of you who have ERP systems, Microsoft has two different ERP systems. The ones here, as you can see, are for medium and large size companies, and I'll talk in a second about the other one that are for medium and smaller companies. So the Microsoft ERP systems, this one here used to be called Exapta, or AX for those who've been in the market for a while. Started back in '98 in this collaboration between IBM and a Danish company. Was bought by Microsoft, has been growing and growing and growing, and now it's a full-fledged high feature ERP system used by about 20,000 companies in over 30 countries. So big user base. Lots of money going in from a Microsoft perspective in this product. It has everything from your budgeting, your multi-company, multi-currency, multi-country infrastructure to be able to be doing your roll-up financials. It has everything from basic HR. You have some features that would be typically in a CRM, like basic lead and opportunity management. You also have some basic case management features, but it's really a full-featured ERP system for medium and large companies that would rival an SAP, for example, for those who've been in the market for a while. And there's also on the right-hand side, you'll see that there's a project operations component to it. If you're a company that has project-based operations, for example, I worked some years ago for a company that made radar and missile guiding systems. So for them, they manufactured, they assembled, and then a lot of their work was the installation. So they also had a big project component. So that is also there. So there's the whole piece around project accounting and project tracking. That is part of this platform. For manufacturers, you obviously have MRP, MPS, all the warehouse management, capability to integrate with barcoding system. Everything is there for a modern manufacturer. So this is one of the foundation solutions from Microsoft, the ERP systems. Going down on that massive PDF file, you have what's called Dynamic 365 Commerce. It's only really relevant if you make products, if you're a manufacturer, and also sell to consumers. So there is a very robust e-commerce and retail management component. But the one that's more interesting for manufacturing and supply chain is the box on the right, which is 365 Business Central. Now, Business Central you might have heard of as Navision or NAV if you've been in the market for a while, if you've been around the Microsoft products for a while. So that's another very well-known ERP system, again from Denmark, that was purchased by Microsoft many years ago. So it has everything from also MRP. It has an inventory management system. It has a lot of the same components that the ERP for the medium and large organizations has. What it's not as strong at is if you have a global operation where you're dealing with plants, supply chain, warehouses in multiple countries across multiple legal entities. So in those cases, the medium to large company ERP is a better fit. If you're an organization that is in Canada or in the US, you can be across provinces, you can be across states, mostly one legal entity. This is a really good option for you. Now, when we talk about large and medium-sized companies, just put this in context, because if you're from the US, your definition of a medium-sized organization is a bit different than what we have in Canada or in some other countries. This is a couple of years old. It puts some context around what I'm talking about, small, medium, or large organizations. So this is NAV. So this is the solution that I just showed as Business Central for the small to medium organizations. As you can see, the sweet spot here is from a number of employees. You're looking at kind of 100 to 1,000 to 2,000 employees. That's the sweet spot for that system. And if you look on the right from a revenue perspective, the sweet spot is kind of 8, 9 million to a couple of $100 million. If you're at $1 billion, $2 billion and up, usually you would outgrow this system and you'd be in the one for medium and large organizations. But if we look at Canada, for example, a company that is a $100 million company would be qualified probably closer to a large organization than a medium. So I just wanted to put some context in there. So if you're at 100 to 1,000 employees, maybe 2,000 employees, if you're 50, 60, 100 million, $150 million, Business Central is the right solution for you. If you're a bit larger but are focused only in the US or only in Canada, I've implemented Business Central or a solution on Business Central for an organization that spanned about 30 branches in 6 states, close to $1 billion in sales, worked perfectly well, but it was really a US operation. So that's the context on the ERP systems. So these are the foundation from Microsoft perspective for your ERPs. Now, CRM solutions. CRM used to stand for customer relationship management. It used to be just the sales piece, but now there's a lot more. I'll talk about that for a bit. So the first thing you have in CRM is the sales piece. The sales piece has everything from account management, contact management, leads, opportunities. There's also a really, really good product called CPQ Sync by one of our partners called Syncom, and we'll send a link to their product in the follow-up email. That's a CPQ, so configure price quote solution. That is very, very useful for manufacturers. A lot of manufacturers have configured products and or services, and this is a perfect solution for that. So these solutions, the Dynamics 365 sales solutions, can be standalone. They can integrate to another ERP system, a non-Microsoft ERP system, or you can choose to be on the Microsoft stack and have a Microsoft ERP and the really nicely integrated sales features. What's different here, it has a lot more features for more complex sales team than the base ERP. So it has, for example, business process flows. So you can see which stage of the pipeline you're in. You can measure velocity through your pipeline. How long is a lead or opportunity at what stage, by sales rep, by group, by product type. So lots more flexibility, and it has built-in integration with the ERP, with marketing, and with the rest of the Microsoft stack. The next key area, customer service. That's part of interacting with your customer. Now, customer service in the context of the Microsoft stack, this also can be a standalone module integrated with a Microsoft ERP or a non-Microsoft ERP. It has all your case management piece. So cases come in, you can have your cases go to queues, you can assign them to customer service people. You can even go in based on skills. You can track case response time, resolution time. So a very, very full-featured case management system. It's a bit like Zendesk for those who have used that kind of application before. Now, the really interesting thing now is this customer service piece then integrates with the AI components and some of the other components we'll talk about later to really bring this into with chatbots, with knowledge management, with a whole bunch of features that will really enable your customer service team to really shine and to be able to provide your customers cutting-edge service. On the field service side on the right, that is the tool that is used to dispatch and manage mobile teams. So you have, for example, a group of technicians that go in and install the machinery that you just sold, or go in and repair equipment or parts or components that you've sold, or go in and perform maintenance. So this is the tool that enables you to figure out who to send based on the work that has to be done, based on the asset or the piece of equipment that needs to be serviced, based on the skills required and the actual technician's skill, based on the distance from the location that you're trying to send this person. You obviously want to, as much as possible, minimize travel time and get as many truck rolls as possible, and also based on the person's schedule. So this is the tool that will enable you to really schedule and optimize that customer-facing service component of your business. And we'll talk later on about a mobile app that is also available for the technicians to be able to complete the work, add parts, add services, put details around the repairs they're doing, even take pictures and capture customers' signatures. Then the final piece on the customer side is what we call marketing. Now, think about marketing not just as typical marketing, but think about it as a tool or a platform to communicate with stakeholders. What I mean by that is you can use it to communicate with customers, with suppliers, with contractors, and with clients. So in a nutshell, what marketing does is it defines who you want to talk to, which is a segment. Everyone knows that. And then you are able to, with a customer journey, define what you want to do. For example, you sell a large piece of equipment to a customer. When the order is shipped, you can automatically send an email to your contact there and say, your piece of equipment is on the way. The person opens the email, then you know that then when the piece of equipment arrives, you can send them a follow-up email saying, it's arrived, we're ready to go. Please click here for instructions for the installation. If the person opens the email but doesn't click, you can send them a different message, or you can create an automatic task for someone to call. So think about this as a if this, then that kind of structure to be able to facilitate automated communication to your customers, to your suppliers, and to your employees. New employee starts, you might want them to go and do some training. So here's the email, here's the link, here's your training, complete it. The person opens the email, doesn't click on the link, a reminder is sent. They click on the link, they don't do the training, a different reminder is sent. So you can really automate communication. So very, very powerful tool. Integrates with event management, integrates with Teams, integrates with emails, with text messages, etc. So very, very good tool. Let's talk quickly about some of the AI solutions that are part of the platform. A lot of these solutions go on top of the components we've just talked about. So, customer insights. If you're thinking of an organization with multiple systems, you can have, for example, a supply chain management system, an ERP system. You might have a CRM system like Dynamics or like Salesforce. A lot of organizations have several legacy systems. It becomes very difficult to identify who your customer is and who's buying what from you, and derive from that insights like what's the lifetime value of a customer, who are my best customers, what's my predicted churn rate, etc. So this customer insights, along with the customer data platform that you see here, enables you to bring together with AI tools the information, the customer information and the customer masters from different systems into one centralized spot. So the AI tool will help you match and merge your customer data across multiple platforms to be able to drive insights, analytics, and potentially, if you want, segmentation from a marketing perspective. This is very, very, very powerful. We have an organization we're talking to who manufactures widgets, and they sell through distributors, and they also sell through their website, and they sell through organizations like Dell. So if Pierre's company buys something from Dell, then I might need a replacement. I go through a distributor, and someone in my company might go in and order directly from the website. There's no way right now to identify Pierre's company as an organization that buys through these different channels. So for this organization, we're looking at bringing in these different channels together and giving them a global view of who's buying what, of the value of each organization that's buying from them, and also the trends of over time. What are they buying? When are they buying? Who's buying? What's the churn probability, etc. So we can really bring all this together with these tools. Customer service insights. This is really important for manufacturers for a couple of reasons. So you always have calls come in with cases, complaints. I need someone to fix this. I've got a warranty claim on this piece of equipment or on this part or on this component. Now, this AI-driven piece really gives you a whole other level of information and insights. One of the things that I really like about this is emerging cases and emerging trends in customer service. For example, if you're manufacturing potentiometers, for example, you might see that, or the system might see that there's a growth in the number of inquiries for warranty or for repairs on a given product. This will be identified before any of your team members have the data to be able to look at this. So this gives you information to be able to act really quickly on emerging trends in customer service. This is a fairly unique tool on the marketplace. So it also helps with agent suggestions. It has workflows. It gives you suggestions on resolution or on documents to look at if you're trying to resolve a case. So very, very powerful analytics tool with an AI backend. Sales insights. This is another AI component. This one goes on top of the sales component of CRM. Really interesting things here for manufacturers and people with supply chains. is the relationship intelligence, because most of you are not dealing with individual consumers, you're dealing in B2B. So relationship intelligence looks at everything that's going on in the system, meetings, phone calls, emails, etc., and evaluates the strength of relationships. And as you know, for manufacturers, very often 20% of your customers give you 80% of your business. So it's very, very important to closely manage the strength of relationships. So this will even overlay for you the relationship strength against your sales pipeline. For example, if I'm one of your salespeople and I've got a big deal coming through for $4 or $5 million, supposed to close in a month, if my sales manager looks at this and sees, the relationship with client A is declining, but we have a big deal that's supposed to be closing in a month, that's a red flag. Why are we not interacting with this prospect or this customer? Why aren't we following up? So this gives the sales management team insights on the likelihood of something closing, on the effectiveness of the sales team, and on how well we're managing the relationships with our biggest clients. So really important piece here. So it obviously supports a whole bunch of other things, but that's how I really see the value for manufacturers and people with complex supply chains. Virtual agent for customer service. This is a AI component that adds that goes on top of the bot that I'll talk about later on. So this is an AI tool that helps with being able to answer questions with a bot. Now think about this as it can be behind, it could be on your website, or it can be in a secure area. So if it's on a website, it can help answer basic questions with the AI engine learning with some of the answers. If it's behind the scenes in an area where your customer is logged in, they can ask for things like, hey, give me my latest invoice, give me my current statement, how many cases do I have outstanding? So it can be trained to answer questions like that. And even if it doesn't have a question, or if someone has to speak to an agent, it can then route to the relevant agent. So a couple of modular sections that are relevant for manufacturing and for companies with complex supply chain. HR, I talked about ERP systems earlier. So you have two ERP systems. They have basic HR features. If you're a large manufacturer with many plants, with people transferring between, where you need to track very closely certifications, skills, if you got trades, if you got unions, etc., this is a module that you would likely add to your ERP system. On the right-hand side, omnichannel for customer service. This is where it all comes together. So this is where you bring in cases, chats, social media, potentially voice coming soon into a centralized interface for customer service. If you imagine I'm a customer service person in your organization, let's say I'm a relatively experienced person, I can manage 5 chats at the same time. A new person might only be able to manage 3 chats. Someone else might only be assigned to phone calls. So you can manage not just the queues, but also the load on your agents to make sure the load does not exceed what you want to assign people. So this is really a tool to manage the whole customer service flow coming in with one centralized interface that brings in not just cases, but all the rest around it with chat, voice, social media, etc., and a platform that enables also very effective management by the managers in your call center or in your customer service center. Really quickly here, I've mentioned earlier the scheduling component of field service. Think about the universal resource scheduling as the generic version of this. Think about it as a tool to schedule any of your employees, whether they're salespeople, whether they're workers in a plant, whether they're HR people. So it enables you to schedule your resources, your resource pools, your facilities, etc. So that's the generic version of the scheduling. And then you have on the right-hand side the mobile apps, both for finance and operations, which is the ERP for large and medium-sized companies, and for field service. So you've got dedicated apps that have templates built in, that work offline, and that are fully integrated with push notifications into the platform. So I'm trying to give you a feeling that you've got the base ERP, Then you've got some of the customer components. Then you've got some of the modular sections that you can add. And then, as a reminder later on, I'll start to talk about how all these tools can be brought together to really shine in a manufacturing and supply chain environment. And then quickly, customer portal, very important. Now, customer portal for Dynamics is one thing in here, but think about it. There's 3 different portals. You can create very easily customer portal, a customer service portal, or a field service portal. And this is extremely easy. So for all 3 types of portals, you can basically click a button. It's that easy. You basically just launch it, and the system will in the background build a portal for you. Obviously, it's not 100% customer ready. You'll need to add things. You'll need to change the look and feel, the color, etc., to match your organization. But you have the ability to really quickly create a template for a portal, whether it's for customers, customer service, or for field service, that has a lot of the features that you want out of the box. So it has cases. You can create orders. You can view your account information. It has a facility for a customer to go in and have a username and a password that is then managed in the CRM piece of the system. So this is a portal, very easy to implement portal, very easy to manage portal that is fully integrated in Dynamics 365. Then on the right-hand side, you have what's called customer voice. So that is a platform for surveys. So integrates into the cases, integrates into sales, integrates into marketing. Service can be generated one-off, can be tied into customer journeys, can be tied into emails. The result of surveys for suppliers, for example, can be tied into supplier evaluation. Results of service can be fed into net promoter scores for customers. So really, really powerful survey features that can be added to the Dynamics platform. Let's talk quickly about the Power Platform, which is part of the stack. Power Automate and AI Builder is where you really create the automation, the alerts, the AI models that are going to give your business a competitive advantage. There's several predefined models such as invoice processing, customer churn prediction, etc. When we talk later on about a connected factory, about a connected supply chain, this is where you're going to take the alerts that come from your machinery, from your warehouses, from your supply chain, and you're going to decide what you do with them. So if something happens, if you have we'll talk about that, a change in a vibration frequency of a piece of equipment on your shop floor, what do you do with it? Do you send someone to look at it? Do you reduce the speed? Do you schedule for maintenance? So this is where all these automation take place, Power Automate and AI Builder. So you can use some of the predefined models, you can create your own models, and you can really leverage these tools to really create a solution for your environment. Virtual agent we've talked about earlier. Power Apps is very interesting. That is a low-code, no-code platform to create apps. Now, what I mean by apps is a couple of different things. We have a client, a partner, for example, that has an app for what he calls people with hard hats and steel-toe boots. So it's an app where you take attendance for health and safety, where you record health and safety hazards in plants, in oil fields, in oil pipeline environments. So think about the Power Apps as an app that you build that takes almost no time, very, very quick, for very specific business processes or use cases. So it can be to scan business cards, it can be to scan invoices, it can be to scan anything that you want, or to take attendance, to create leads, to record inventory changes, anything that you want that needs to be tied to Dynamics. You can quickly create an app that is very user-friendly and very specific to what you need to do. Power Apps Portal and Power BI. So I've talked about the portals a couple of seconds ago. So that's the portal management piece that ties into the authentication. So we've talked about portals. Power BI is the business intelligence part. So Power BI, think about it as a tool to provide you advanced analytics for your information. So Power BI can be tied to any component in Dynamics. It can be tied to your ERP system, to your CRM system, to your customer service system. It can also be tied to other sources of data, such as a SQL database, an Access database, an Excel spreadsheet. It enables you to create dashboards, reports, and analytics across all these data sources. It also supports natural language queries. So you could be, for example, typing in, I want to know my sales by country, by product category, year to date. And I want in a pie chart. So you can literally type this in and it will show you the result of what you asked for. And you can pin it. You can pin that chart to a dashboard and refer to it later on. So very, very powerful, one of the best in class analytics tools out there. That is one of the tools that can be added to your platform. It also is used by a lot of companies that are not even on the Microsoft ERP platform and still use it because of its capabilities. Let's talk for a couple of minutes about mixed reality. This is really important for manufacturers. A couple of things that you can do with this. So if you look at the remote assist, the import tool, the guides, and the visualization tool. So imagine you bring in a model, you bring in images, 3D models of your equipment, and you're able to create guides. By that, I mean, off the 3D model, you can create training for your employees. For example, if you need to take apart this transmission or this component, you start here. It shows it in 3D. You can rotate it. You start by unscrewing these 4 bolts. Then you take this piece off, put it carefully aside. Then you take the next component out. Here's where you hold it. So you can take people through training on 3D models to be able to really enable your workforce. You can have spatial triggers. You can have instructor card management, step-by-step instructions. So you can have all that together. Now, the next step to that is what we call remote assist. Remote assist can happen in a couple of different ways. So you have the capability for a customer, for example, to ping and get assistance from one of your technicians on troubleshooting, on repairs, etc. It's also very much used in conjunction with HoloLens. And for those of you who are familiar with HoloLens, it's a lens or a kind of glass that you put in front of your eyes that give you 3D models and that are tied into Dynamics, so you can see models live. Now imagine you have junior technicians in the field. You're sending them to repair machinery. That person doesn't necessarily know how to repair this specific piece of machinery or doesn't know how to diagnose. So they can pull up a model and that can take them through. If this is what you've got for issues, take this off and see if XY situation is present. So it can take the person through different steps to troubleshoot with a 3D model and take them through step by step. You can also have this assistance be done by a senior technician back at the office or at another location. So this again enables you to use technicians that don't necessarily have all the skills required, but allows them to leverage some of the senior folks in the organization so that you can get better leverage on your workforce. So a senior technician can also, with a HoloLens on his or her side, be able to guide the more junior person through the different steps that need to be taken either to diagnose or to repair a piece of equipment or a piece of machinery. So very, very powerful tools. This is used quite extensively, for example, by a small organization called Toyota Motor Corporation. So for them, they do a lot of the training on how to assemble components in cars, how to disassemble, how to troubleshoot. A lot of these things are driven for them by 3D models and by HoloLens tools. They also are able to do remote assist and help technicians with some troubleshooting. So this has been a really breakthrough for Toyota, and Toyota's adopted this from the beginning. Let's talk for a couple of seconds about the Microsoft platform and what that means for manufacturers and for your supply chain. So Microsoft Azure, for those who are not familiar with Azure, that's really the platform. That's the Microsoft cloud hosting platform. So that's where the IoT components are. So Internet of Things. That's where DevOps. So if you have your development teams, if you're developing software for your equipment, for example, this is where the apps are. This is where the machine learning, the AI components are. This is where the ERPs are hosted. This is where the CRM tools are hosted. Anything you get as a service from Microsoft is all on Azure. And in addition to that, you have all the cloud computing solutions. Microsoft 365, most of you are probably on Office or on Windows. So Excel, Project, Visio, Planner, etc. Those are all on the Microsoft platform. Now, if you imagine, we've talked about now ERPs, we've talked about customer service solutions, we've talked about a whole bunch of different components. This all integrates with Excel, with Word, so you can generate your invoices, you can generate your statements for your customers. You can, if you're in the field service, you can gather the customer signature when you finished a repair of a piece of equipment, and you can use Word as a template to create a invoice, for example, or a statement or anything you want. So it fully integrates with the Microsoft Office solution. The other thing that Microsoft has done, which is really interesting, is they've started to create industry accelerators. When you look at the full PDF file that I soon will forward to all the attendees, you'll see that there's many industry accelerators. The ones that are relevant for us here are two. There's the manufacturing one and the automotive one. So think about these as a starting point for your implementation if you are putting in a Microsoft ERP. So it has, on the manufacturing side, it has a lot of processes and components around qualifying of suppliers. There's APIs, so capability to integrate better with some different components. You can manage and approve access requests much more easily. You can manage and approve supply requests into the portal more easily. So lots of different tools and different things that are pre-configured and pre-set up in the system for you to be able to hit the ground running faster if you're a manufacturer or if you're specifically in the automotive industry. Now, it doesn't mean that if you don't fit these two accelerators, you shouldn't be using the platform. It just means that if this fits for you, it brings you up to speed faster. Now let's talk about bringing this together. So I've talked about all these components. Oh, you've got AI, you've got remote assist, you've got ERP system, CRM solution, customer service solution. Now, what does that mean for manufacturers? What does that mean for people with complex supply chains? So, connected factory, there's a couple different things that Microsoft talks about, but I'm going to talk about connected factory. I'm going to talk about supply chain and field service. And by the way, I will do another webinar later on, probably in a couple of weeks, where I'll cover some of the other areas in more depth. But I think for today, since we're already 11:40, I'll focus on a couple of different areas. So there's 7 key digital transformation scenarios that are identified through engagement with a whole bunch of manufacturing companies like you that can help you advance. So there they are at the bottom. So you've got workforce transformation. So what happens here? The issue there is skills gap in manufacturing. We're all struggling to find the right people, to find skilled people, etc. So we really need to transform the way we're thinking about our workforce and leverage technology to attract, train, and retain the next generation. So when we talk about workforce transformation, if this is an area that's key for you, key for your competitive advantage, tools like the virtual reality that we talked about, being able to create models to train your folks, being able to bring people up to speed faster, being able to leverage people that might not have as much experience into jobs that are more technical, that are more demanding, that require more skills and more knowledge, the ability to leverage some of your more senior resources across a wider net of junior folks rather than sending them on their own resolve complex problems. So that's how the workforce transformation piece can really help leverage or help your company. And really, depending on your business, you might have one of these 7 scenarios relevant to you that will give you a competitive advantage, or you may need all of them. And there are Microsoft partners that are focused on getting you there to the next level with each of these scenarios. And each of these scenarios leverages specific tools that we looked at today. So workforce transformation, for example, leverages a lot of the virtual reality or the mixed reality. When we talk about connected product innovation, that's kind of interesting. So you've got all this data now. You've got your ERP system. You've got potentially you start connecting some of your devices. You've got IoT. You've got your machinery connected. You've got machinery and products you've sold to your customers that are connected that you're getting feedback on. So you've got all these IoT sensors, field services. You've got sales infos. You've got your factory info, and your supply chain information. So with connected product innovation, you can really get real-time insight. Think about it, about getting real-time insights into which products and features customers are using without waiting for customer survey results, without waiting for sales to drop or sales to really take off. So you can think about it as getting real-time information to be able to foresee what is working, what is not working, how are people using the product or the machinery, the equipment. Is it in the way you thought? Is it with the kind of services that you were expecting? Are they using it the right number of hours, at the right speed, with the right load, etc.? So you can really get that information ahead of time, and that enables you to potentially change your product, adapt your product, modify your product, or reach out to your customers proactively before things happen, before you would have gotten the feedback from your supply chain or from your customers. Connected field service, the next item here, we've talked about that a little bit. So here you can remotely monitor, imagine all the smart products you've sold to your customers. And you can also start to think about predictive maintenance and minimizing your customers' downtime. So for predictive downtime, sorry. So for predictive maintenance and unexpected maintenance issue, you can speed up the repair time by getting alerts and really dispatching techs using skill-based assignment and by empowering the technicians with all the information. So Chevron is using that for the refineries. ExxonMobil is using that in their oil services. ThyssenKrupp in their elevators. So you've got the devices connected. You're seeing, for example, with a lift truck that there's been an impact or that it's reached 2,000 hours of use. You can then start dispatching the folks automatically. You can get visibility on the usage. You can tie this into the maintenance schedule, ties that into your inventory. If you get visibility on what maintenance schedules are coming up, how fast maintenance is occurring, you can then start ordering the parts that you need for the maintenance and the repairs ahead of time. So the connected field service gives you unparalleled visibility into not just the connectivity of the devices or the equipment you have at your customers, but also in how we're maintaining it and what's actually happening in the field. Connected sales and service. Now, this is not just sales, it's sales and service. So two things that happen here. These are some of the things that might be relevant to your organization, that might help enable you, that might help give you a competitive advantage. So with connected sales and customer service, you can really empower your sellers to see the full spectrum of a customer's need. So if you imagine I'm selling a piece of equipment, I'm selling a machining center. So I can look up, I can see what do they have now, whether they're my products or someone else's products. If they're my products, I can see usage. I can see numbers of hours it's running. I can see load. I can see what the maintenance schedule's been. And I can better understand what would be the next best product for them. So it really gives your sellers unparalleled information to be able to really target and give the customers the best products for what they need. That's very, very interesting. Now, and what you also get with that is, as I mentioned, the CPQ, configure price quote. When you have connected sales and service, you can really then drive a configuration that matches the customer's needs better. From a cost center perspective, imagine if you can tap all the insights gathered from your smart connected products. You can really improve the effectiveness of customer service agents, and then you can start leveraging the bots or agents. HP is using bots to handle almost 600 million service inquiries they get every year. So from a connected service perspective, all the information on the equipment they have, on the maintenance schedules, on the downtime, what's breaking, what's going well, what are the cases are, where are they being sold. So you can have more information from a service perspective than you've ever had before. Let's talk about factory of the future for those of you who have actual manufacturing environments. So a lot of you are looking at customizing your products and services for your customer, or even using even going to a product as a service setup. So factory of the future What we mean by that is really a complex system of self-regulating machines and sites that customize output, optimally allocate resources, and give you a seamless interface. So if you imagine factory of the future, you've got your products and services are customized or highly configured. You have more and more variants of it as the orders come in. You can, if that's what is useful for you, start thinking about connecting your machines and connecting everything together so that as the load from the sales team or from the expected sales comes in, you can then start running your machines, programming your machines, and running your operation in a way that is optimized for the load that's coming in. If we look at intelligent supply chain, so you're making more product variants, you're delivering customized connected services along with them, your supply chain becomes very, very complex. So what's happened here is as you're able to connect your supply chain with the different tools we've talked about, as you're able to connect your warehouses, as you're able to get a better visibility on your devices that are out in the field, on the equipment you've got information from field service coming in, you're now able to better predict the load on your supply chain. You're now able to also get visibility on disruptions of your supply chain across the full spectrum. So that's in a nutshell some of the scenarios that we've got from a Microsoft perspective. As I mentioned, not all of those are relevant to every company, but think about for your business, what's key? Is your main challenge workforce? Is it getting people up to speed? Is it finding skilled people to either work in the plant, to do service, to support your client? Is the issue be able to respond really quickly with your products, with what's happening in the field with connected product innovation? Is your challenge more of a field service issue, being able to maintain, repair products that you've got as your clients? Is your issue more on getting all the information from sales and service to be able to sell the right products, the right equipment to your customers? Is your issue a factory shop floor issue? Is it a supply chain issue? Or even on the sustainability side, there's another presentation I'm going to be going through in the future on sustainability from a Microsoft perspective. So these are so the key industry scenarios that, depending on your organization, you should be thinking about. So how does this all tie in together now? So you see the bottom, you've got the data on the x-axis, and you've got the value on the y-axis. So very often we talk about kind of how we're going to start on this journey. So data foundation, bottom left corner, define data sources. So here we're talking about ERP. Get an ERP, a Microsoft ERP or another ERP, but you need a proper modern system in your organization. You then need to define your data sources as we have here. So where's the data coming from? And as you move towards the right, you get more and more sophisticated from a data perspective. So you start with your foundation, then you put your analytics in there. You can start moving into AI model. You can start moving into cognitive model. So that's the journey from a data perspective. Now, we talked about a couple of different things here. We talked about remote monitoring, connected factory, predictive maintenance, connecting field service, supply chain optimization. So what we tried to show here is where these things fit, where the value is, and how far you need to be from a data maturity perspective to be able to think about these solutions. Really good example, connected factory. So from a connected factory perspective, you can start connecting your equipment tomorrow. You can start getting visibility on your equipment tomorrow. You can start putting monitoring systems on your machines, your production lines, etc. tomorrow. There's high value to start getting that visibility, even if you're not all the way up with AI models to predict things ahead of time. But this is very useful picture on the data journey, some of the main scenarios that you might be looking at to help with your business, and how it all ties in together. And if you're thinking again about the different solutions I talked about earlier, about the enhanced reality, about connected field service, about ERP, about CRM, you can see where all of these potentially fit in. So depending on your business, there isn't a one template fits all. It really depends on what your business is, what your challenges are, and where you're going to drive benefits, value, and competitive advantage. Let's talk about connected field service for a couple of minutes. That's one of the scenarios that was discussed a couple of slides back. So, a couple of things that are key for connected field service. So, first of all, accelerate first time fixes, differentiate your services to increase revenue, prevent equipment failures, and transform your product and services. So, that's really where this scenario shines. If these are things that are key pain points, if these are going to make a differentiator for your organization, this is a scenario you should be focusing on. So, here's a use case to illustrate how this could work. So, leveraging IoT sensors paired with machine learning, a rig operator is automatically notified of changes to the condition of a rig, such as a temperature increase before anything is damaged. So, temperature goes up, an operator, a rig operator says, oh, temperature's going up, what's going on? So, the operator calls the top drive manufacturer call centers. The service rep or the customer service person asks the operator to run a diagnostic test, and based on the result, the service rep predicts that the rig can safely operate for another week without servicing if it's only run at 80% speed. Now imagine this ties into customer service, as we talked about, with the customer service insights. This is the rig, this is what's going on. It's a temperature. We have the diagnostic. The AI engine says will not fail if you run at 80% for at least a week. So we're good to go. So by extending the life of the top drive, the rig avoids unplanned downtime. If you're in oil industry, for example, huge impact of downtime. You can be blocking access for days. You have an operator doing nothing, and you're losing productivity. So you avoid unplanned downtime. The repairs can wait until the time that will have a minimum impact on productivity. The manufacturer has maximum flexibility to ensure they send a technician with the right experience, tools, and parts to solve the issue. Because if you imagine, if you wouldn't have done the diagnostic, if the thing has failed, you're going to send the first person that is the closest. The person might not have the right skills, might not yet know what the issue is, might not have the right parts or tools. So using the resource scheduling optimization, the manufacturer sends the right tech automatically, optimize the tech schedule and route to maximize productivity. Now imagine now the tech arrives at the rig. He or she knows the condition of the drilling site and decides that the more durable top drive gearbox would be more appropriate than the existing one. Again, this can be recommended by the AI engine or by customer service who's looking at the how long this thing's been running. It's already having this issue. The IoT sensors are saying it's running 24 hours a day where it was only supposed to run 16 hours, etc. So the tech explains to the rig operator that installing a new gearbox will prevent the overheating from occurring again. So now you're equipped with live sales and account information, and the tech is able to make a sale on site. Imagine. So the tech starts installing the new gearbox with AI providing recommendation for the next step to take on the installation. So this is a bigger gearbox, a different gearbox. The technician was able to make the recommendation, maybe even brought the gearbox with him because that was the recommendation that was going to come through. He might not have all these skills to install, but with the AI and with the remote assist, he can actually do it. So he's got augmented reality headset, enabling the gearbox to be installed without delay. So you get a new gearbox installed. The rig is back to normal operations. An automatic service insights report measures key performance indicators based on the service. Get unplanned downtime was 0 hours. Your customer is happy. They're happier. The survey goes out automatically with voice of the customer. Survey comes back. They're happy. Probability of future sales goes up. Upsell went well. Customer and manufacturers are happy. Your customer is ecstatic. The equipment didn't go down. You installed a better piece for them, and everyone is happy. So imagine now you've done predictive anomaly detection. You've got your AI model that helps you make the right decision. You got the right routing for your tech. With the service history, you're able to make a cross-selling opportunity happen, and then you've guided the technician to be able to do the work. So this is the AI-powered smart connected field service scenario. This is an example, but just illustrates what you can do with this. So Lexmark, fairly well-known company. If you read some of the notes here, so they had to monitor, optimize the vast number of field assets they have. They got Azure machine learning, they got data lake store, analysis services, and they collected data from millions of IoT-enabled printers. So now they're able to track data from the printers, and it really affects the whole product and service lifecycle. It's enabled them to change what the products are, to come up with new innovative products, and it's increased customer service. So very, very interesting use case, and you can get that more details on the Microsoft customer stories site. Siemens, augmented reality. It enabled them to actually prepare for the actual usage. It's been a really good solution for Siemens. They've transformed really their freight transport services with Azure. They have mixed reality solution based on HoloLens 2 and Dynamics Field Service. The technicians servicing trucks can view a service checklist, can view repair diagrams, they can remotely consult with experts at headquarters, and they can complete all service steps with hands-free efficiency. So that's another really interesting field service, connected field service case study. And finally, ExxonMobil. So for them, their subsidiary, XTO, is a subsidiary of ExxonMobil. They have big holdings in the Permian Basin. It's one of the world's most important oil-producing regions. The challenge was monitoring and optimizing a vast number of widely dispersed field assets. They have things all over the basin. So they've been digitalizing the Permian operations, and they used Azure IoT technology. They electronically collect data and then use Azure Solutions and 365 to analyze. And they are able to optimize their whole drilling operations and optimize how they maintain and service their equipment. Let's talk finally about connected factory before we wrap up with questions. So here's what the key things about connected factory are. So you want to create, if this is relevant to you, you want to create insights into the customer's desired outcomes. You want to improve productivity to increase revenue. You want to get products that customers want to market faster. And you want to engage customers with differentiated buying experiences. That's how you leverage a connected factory. Let me take you through an example. So let's describe a connected factory. So it's really, imagine connected intelligent machines providing continuous insights, enabling better information, better decisions with up-to-date market data. You can manage inventory near real time, and you can revise your processes and drive new innovations to meet demand. So imagine you can connect now. For connected field service, the first thing is connected devices. Now you can connect individual pieces at your own pace. You don't need to connect everything at the same time. You don't need to connect everything at all. You just need to connect the ones that are relevant. Now, once you've got them connected, you can empower your employees with near real-time visibility into performance. You can have dashboards to show you on-time detection of anomalies. You can monitor your machines. You can look at loads, etc. So it really enables your employees to be able to change the way they do it. Now, predictive manufacturing, I find it's kind of interesting. So imagine if you can adjust your processes and systems to trigger preventative action when certain conditions occur. Imagine a scenario here. Here's one of them, where one of your machines is reporting an increase in vibration. And I've worked a lot with pumps and motors, and you know what a change in vibration typically means. So with Azure machine learning, with the machine learning AI that I've mentioned that you can build your own models in, your system can automatically compare this event to past data points and determine the best route forward. So in this circumstance, for example, it finds that similar increase in vibration in the past have resulted in downtime. So a new work order is automatically initiated to enable timely maintenance. Your predictive model can also be used to identify variations in quality, as well as their causes before quality thresholds are passed. So in this scenarios, your sensors identify the output of a machine is appropriate or is approaching the tolerance, You can see that it might start to create problems from a quality perspective, and you can address the issue on the spot. So it's a very interesting uh, piece when you can monitor your equipment. You can see when they're going to break ahead of time. If you're monitoring the tolerance of what you're producing, as you're approaching the limit of the tolerances, you can have automatic alerts coming up, and then you can either slow down your equipment, trigger automatic maintenance, etc. So that predictive manufacturing is really interesting. Now you tie that in with supply chain visibility. So you can really achieve end-to-end visibility in your production value chain. If you think about it, you can aggregate data from across your factories to provide you with an overall picture of your manufacturing business. So this is not just one plant, it's your whole supply chain. So imagine if you have multiple plants across multiple countries, and you can see at a glance your global overall equipment efficiency and your key performance indicators. You can see your critical alerts, your outages, and you can look at your operational efficiency and all anomalies right away. So imagine you have factories in Florida, you got maybe one in Germany, another in India. Your dashboard shows that your factories in Germany and India are functioning normally, but there's an anomaly in your factory in Florida. It's producing fewer units than usual. So your connected factory enables you to drill down to your data. You can compare performance of factories, compare performance of individual machines at multiple sites if you want. And you can find that, for example, when you compare to equipment machines in your factories in Germany and India, the one of your robotic arms in Florida is working less efficiently, causing a bottleneck in production. So this is the kind of thing when you are kind of going from connected devices to doing predictive manufacturing to then expanding this across your supply chain. This is the kind of thing you can see, and these are the kinds of actions you can take. So let's talk about advanced analytics. So you can now apply then advanced analytics to manufacturing data to get insights to really optimize the productivity of individual assets and also of your whole operation. When you deploy that in each location, these tool enables you to maximize your productivity and profitability. So it's really interesting from a analytics perspective. You can use Power BI, you can leverage some of the AI tools, etc. So if you imagine now you've got your predictive data for manufacturing, you've got your supply chain. Now you can have analytics that cross not just your plant and your supply chain, but the whole value chain. And you can obviously start now looking at safety improvements if you can see what's going to break ahead of time, if you can monitor employees that are operating equipment for safety, that they turn off the equipment, are they following safety procedures, etc. So you can then really start to improve safety in your plant. So a lot of different things to do from a connected factory perspective. Let's talk about a couple of use cases. So Unilever, most people are familiar with Unilever. So they became driven by the idea of data insights to predict the future. It's a big deal. So Unilever is using IoT, so Internet of Things, and intelligent edge services to enable what we call a digital twin. So it's a next generation digital model of a physical environment. So digital twin, you might have, for example, a model of your whole plant that you can see and interact with in a 3D setting without having to go to your plant. So you can see, I imagine if you can see a model of your plant and a piece of equipment that you can see in 3D as part of your plant turns red, temperature is going up, something's happening, and then you can drill down. So a digital twin enables you to get a digital visualization of an asset or a facility. So they've started to really go into that direction and be able to really easily see what's happening, not just in reports, not just in analytics, not just in research, but actually seeing a model that reacts almost in real time the same way as the plant does. Very interesting technology. So, Jabil, they're one of the largest and most innovative providers of manufacturing, design engineering, and supply chain management technologies and services. So they span 102 locations in about 28 countries. So they wanted to better predict errors or failures on the assembly floor before they occurred. They wanted to save customer time and money. So they transformed the manufacturing production line with advanced analytics solutions. And they have now new predictive analytics in the manufacturing solution built in on Azure. And they're able to see ahead of time when something is likely to break. So the system alerts automatically. The system automatically alerts staff, including engineers and machine operators, if a potential error is detected. Not even a confirmation of an error, but when something could be going wrong, when the model says, oh, when last time this happened, not always, but the last couple of times this happened, there was a problem in manufacturing, there was a quality problem, etc. Have a look at it. These kinds of solutions now are being able to find problems before they are detected, before they go onto the customer site, or before they would have been even identified in the past. So very, very new way, innovative way to think about your manufacturing. GE, now interesting, they actually decide to use blockchain technology. So there's an Azure blockchain component that you can use. So what's happening there is, imagine you have to really ensure. So this group does the aviation component. So you have to be high. You have to have a high level of safety, as you can imagine. So airlines can't use a part in an engine if you don't know its full history. So the aviation groups decide to use blockchain technologies to track the life of each part, replacing cumbersome, efficient paper documentation. So if you imagine now you have verifiable history on all your equipment, on all the repairs, where it is, where it's been, who's worked on it. It's scalable, it's automated, it's real time, it saves time and money and takes away a whole bunch of paperwork that used to be required to track all the equipment and all the details around the equipment they've supplied. So just another use case for manufacturing companies leveraging Microsoft technology. And finally, one last example, Bueller Group. They make food processing equipment. So they basically, with what they've done, they can monitor machine performance and generate accurate records for every product batch. It gives them a really good tool for food safety auditing, which was one of their really significant pain points. And they've actually improved the supply chain transparency, and they can open new avenues of visibility for the commodity food producers. So they've really been able to change the visibility and the insights that they're getting into their processes. That's really given them a significant advantage over their competitors.